right, we're rolling. All right. You can just say quick hi, maybe.
Hello.
Who are you?
Who I am? I'm Mischa Maisky.
All right, first question. What or who is always sure to bring a smile to your face?
Oof. One of my 6 children.
Perfect. You have the most iconic hair.
Or maybe all of them, not just one.
Good answer, good correction. You have the most iconic hair, regardless of Heifetz's opinion. Do you have a special hair care routine?
Yes, I relatively regularly wash it. And even twice a year, or sometimes once a year, trim it.
Perfect. Do you have a favorite concert hall to perform in?
Many, really difficult to point one, but still, if I would have to be forced to point out one, for many different kind of sentimental reasons, probably Musikverein in Vienna, because it was the place where I, for the first time, played with Vienna Philharmonic and Leonard Bernstein, my first recording, live recording on Deutsche Grammophon in 1982, and video and many other occasions.
All right. Which piece could you listen to on repeat?
Again, many.
Many.
Really, but you know, Mahler Deserto from Fifth Symphony, or so many others, really.
All right. Could you explain how you came to play your current Montagnana and perhaps the various instruments that led up to it? If there were any.
Of course, there were some, but it's nothing to write home about, except of Grancino cello, which Charles Beer very kindly lent to me for about 2 years before I met this beautiful old lady on the 29th of November 1973.
Nice.
So in a few months it will be 49 years since we fell in love from first sight, first sound, and I hope we have maybe not exactly as many years.
How did your COVID lockdown life look like?
Well, actually, it was surprisingly, I could say, nice, because I spent plenty of time at home with my children, family, and the weather was very nice during the lockdown, I remember, and we have a beautiful garden, and even the swimming pool was working at the time, not anymore, and so we actually didn't suffer at all, and even rented camping car and explored Belgium, discovered many wonderful small places, so
Nice.
it was nice.
All right. Great. Any unique perks of being a cellist?
Perks.
I don't know, airports or anything that's unique to carrying this instrument around.
Yeah, that's what's unique. You have to carry the bloody thing all the time and pay an extra seat on the plane, of course, CBBG. And it has to be by the window because, cello absolutely needs to look out, I guess. But otherwise,
Okay, good. What is your favorite meal, if you have one?
again, many
Too many.
different things, but confit de canard, for example.
Okay. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite number?
8.
3 items you cannot live without.
No, obviously, cello is one of them. 3 items. I guess by now it's as banal as it sounds, probably my iPhone or iPad, actually more iPad, because I prefer iPad to show pictures of my children. They look even better on the iPad than on the iPhone, bigger screen.
Nice. What is the most interesting piece of advice you've ever received? Or advices?
My great teacher, or one of them, because I had 2 incredibly great teachers, Rostropovich and Pigorsky, both of them actually had very similar approach to teaching, and one of the most important advice, which I remembered from them, was that on a daily basis we should remind ourselves that the cello in our case, or any other instrument, violin, piano, whatever it might be, it's only what the word instrument implies. It's a vehicle which helps us to achieve the ultimate goal, which is music, and not the other way around. One should never use music in order to show how wonderful you play your instrument. So this is something which I always try to remember.
Okay, speaking of advice, if you could go back in time, is there any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Yes, many. But one of them, whatever you want to learn from difficult major cello repertoire or any repertoire in this case, do it before you're 50, because then it's getting more and more difficult to learn new major pieces.
Very true. All right, some lighter questions. How did you end up in Belgium?
Oh, because of my best friend, Philip Hirschhorn, great violinist who won Queen Elizabeth competition, and his beautiful wife, who is one of my oldest friends, Nina Alexeeva, a wonderful painter. I visited them very often on the way, and finally they convinced me to settle down here.
Okay. If you weren't a cellist, what could you imagine yourself doing with your life?
Well, many different things, but definitely something connected with music. I can imagine myself playing other instrument, being singer if I would have voice, or conductor or whatever, but music definitely.
In the music world.
Although when I was 5 years old, my dream was to become an airplane pilot. But the reason was very banal, because at the time in Soviet Union, the rumor was that airplane pilots were getting free chocolate. So that's why I wanted to become an airplane pilot.
Any reason? What is one thing most people wouldn't know about you? Anything?
How insecure I am, I guess. And about many things that I think I don't do nearly well enough, and should try to improve.
Speaking of cello playing, how would you say your playing has evolved over the past few decades, if at all?
Oh yes, I think it evolved quite a bit. In some strange, it might sound strange, but I think it became much younger in spirit somehow. It has more vitality, more fluidity, more. For example, my two recordings of Bach suites, which have 15 years in between, I always say that I think the second one is about 15 years younger. And I even make joke, if I will record it again, maybe I will start finally playing like a wunderkind. But not only Bach suites, Dvorak concerto and some other pieces. Generally, somehow I feel I'm getting probably at the age when I'm getting into my second childhood.
Nice. Are there any drastic differences that you notice between the music world 30 to 40 years ago versus today?
Yes, plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of playing, cello playing, not only of course, but cello playing in our case, is just skyrocketed. It's phenomenal. It leaves me speechless. But in the same time, of course, it has, like everything else in life, it has hidden danger to it, and the problem is that many young musicians nowadays, because the competition is so tough, they unconsciously think that in order to succeed they have to practice their instrument even more in order to play even cleaner, even louder, even better. And then the danger is the most important thing, which for me is expression in music, and becomes secondary. And then comes the advice of my teachers about keeping priorities straight, and music should always be the most important thing, and one should as important as it is to practice your instrument, to train your hands, it is even more important to train your mind continuously in order for your mind to be the leading force and your hands following your mind and not the other way around.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Well, maybe I could play Kodai Sonata again, or Prokofiev Symphony Concerto, or a few other things. No, maybe I could have a few more children. I have 6, and yeah, it's enough actually.
What is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done? If there is one.
Most spontaneous thing? Probably announcing that I'm going to play cello at the age of 8, soon after I quit smoking. Because I somehow got hold of Havana cigar, a big Havana cigar, and inhaled it. I never smoked again. And probably under influence of this experience, I announced I'm going to play cello, which of course obviously was a moment of temporary insanity. Nobody could imagine me sitting more than 5 seconds. I was very hyperactive, playing football all the time. But I insisted, and here we are, 6 years later. I'm still trying.
So playing the cello is the most spontaneous thing that's happened. That's great. All right, 2 more questions. Any advice for today's young musicians building their cello lives?
Stay young. I think it's my greatest ambition, one of many actually I have, but my greatest ambitions in life is to live very long, but to die young. You know, I was incredibly lucky in many different ways, but I met and played for an hour and a half for great Pablo Casals, 2 months before he passed away at the age of 96 and a half, and he was 96 and a half years young. And it was an amazing example for me, but not only Arthur Rubinstein, when I met him at the age of 89, those people stayed young forever, and it's the best thing one can do in life.
Great. Last question. Do you have a life motto?
Yes, definitely, more than one, but probably most important is live and let live. Because we live in a world which is unfortunately much too intolerant, and it starts with, of course, it probably starts with arguments how to put the toilet paper this way or that way, and some people probably end up divorcing because of this disagreement, which is ridiculous. And it ends with world wars because of different gods, different religion, and somewhere in between lies the argument how to play Bach or any other great music. And so I think there are so many different ways of thinking, living, dressing, eating, or playing Bach or any other music, and we all could learn and benefit from differences from different cultures, different traditions, different everything, instead of being threatened by them. And if people would be more tolerant and open-minded, this would be much better world to live in.
Well, thank you. That was a nice interview.
So live and let live, it's I think the best advice one can give to oneself.
Cut. Thank you so much.